Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Tulley, President and Executive Writing Coach at Defend, Publish, and Lead. And welcome to episode 294, Make a Right Now To-Do List. It's at the point in August where I am entering the first week of classes. And like most other faculty and graduate students teaching, I know, we're all just running around. We're going to opening meetings. We're trying to figure out what we're doing for our classes, maybe trying to make some last minute adjustments. You might be behind. I'm behind. And one of the things that I was giving, or one of the topics I was talking about with another faculty member who's one of our clients and does a lot with time management with us, is that we just started talking about the idea of figuring out what the priorities are for the day. And one thing that I realized is that it's just not helpful at this time of year. This is, going back to the academic semester in fall of 2026. It's just not that helpful to make a to-do list because there's so many things on it. It's pretty much worthless by the time you try to get to a day. And so what I started doing is making a quick right now to-do list, meaning if I have 45 minutes, I'm literally writing down, I actually have my little like notepad over here. I'm writing down what I'm doing in those 45 minutes. It might be one thing, it might be two things, but I need the tunnel vision to know what it is that I'm supposed to be working on. So, for example, tonight when I'm recording this podcast, I had a 2 hour window, or I have a 2 hour window. It's right now, it's about halfway gone in my 2 hour window. But I knew I had it. And so I had to think very strategically, what is my right now to-do list? What am I doing right this second that's going to be the best option? That's not the only option. And it probably, out of all the choices I have available, I'd love to do five other things. But I realize I have 2 hours. What can I do in 2 hours that is going to make the most amount of difference, that's going to decrease the most amount of stress? So one of the things is I'm not working on any scholarly writing. So most times I don't 2 weeks before classes start. I just don't because I usually wait until building class time, or I try to have time to build classes right before the semester. I don't tend to use them in summer writing time or other times. So then I lean in hard and I do them all. So one of the things I realized is, okay, let's think about the next 24 hours. Well, I'm teaching two face-to-face classes and it will be the first day of class for those sections. I'm kind of old school in this way, but I like a print syllabus and I actually like the first reading to be in print, even if other ones are not. And so I started thinking, well, it's the night before, it's less than 24 hours before this class. I probably need to print some materials. So that was number one. And one of the reasons why I made that number one, and I am showing this on screen, so people on YouTube can actually see my little right now list. I have four items on it. So four things. Number one is printing materials for my 9:30 class. One of the reasons why I chose printing as my first thing, even though it's not really the most important, because I've already made these materials, is that I got advice from a good friend, Lisa Woodruff, who runs an awesome podcast called Organized 365. Everyone should check it out if you need some organizational help. But one of the things she said a very long time ago when I started listening to her was this idea of getting people and machines working for you. So since this is a print job, before I'm doing anything else, it makes sense that I turn on the printer, load the things that have to be printed and get those going. So, especially because this is a little bit of a larger class. So I wanted to make sure that I started with that. So that's number one. That's happened. I'm finished. Number two is recording this episode. So 294, my second note says record episode 294 and load the recording and the show notes. That's because I'm thinking again about getting machines and people working for me. And one of our podcast editor, Robin, who is wonderful. I've given her many shout outs on our podcast, but I have to have this to her by tomorrow or Wednesday. I can't remember, early in the week. Normally, I give her podcast things later in the week, but this time she tells me when she needs it a little earlier, and I knew this. So I know that I have to get it done. So that was something that I figured I could be recording while the printer's going. You might even hear the printer going in the background. Then I have something slightly harder to do. I have an 11 o'clock class where I need to change a few things on the syllabus that I haven't finished. I need to finish it, so I have a syllabus tomorrow at 11 a.m. And then I'd like to print that syllabus and the article for the class. So I like to hand out my first reading as a paper, like a print reading. This is a face-to-face class. One of the things I like to do is kind of walk students around the reading, which doesn't work quite as easily electronically. So just so they can kind of see how I'm thinking about doing the reading. So those are the four things. Hopefully I will get them all finished by 7:45 p.m. It is 6:26 when I'm recording this, so there's hope. I might be able to do it. We'll see. But the purpose of a right now list for me is that I'm not even now focusing on, what's something happening 3 days from now or a to-do list for the week. I'm thinking of what are things I can do in any pocket of time available that I can do right now that are going to make the most amount of difference. So these to me are part of a bigger goal of just being ready to teach two face-to-face classes tomorrow morning. But I also, on my right now list, I almost always have a list called looming, like this is what's coming. If you don't handle it, you're going to have a problem. So one of the things that is looming for me, and my only thing on my looming list, is that I have a workshop at 1:30 tomorrow that I've run many times before. I just need to find the slides for it. So that shouldn't take too long. That would be sort of bonus if I could get it in by 7:45. And so one of the things that I will tell clients that I'm thinking about with these right now lists is I'm like, sometimes you'll have 3 or 4 right now lists in a day. So maybe you have 28 minutes between classes. Make if you need to. A lot of times I will just use handy post-its. I will waving one around on screen if you're watching on YouTube. I often will make a right now list on a post-it. On screen, what I'm showing is one that I made just because I just, at the moment, I didn't have post-its nearby when I made the list, just to kind of remind me. But you might have 3 or 4 of these lists. Once you knock out the things that are on the right now list, throw away the post-it. Or if it's digital, delete it. You can put it maybe in a meeting to yourself if you're blocking out time. And the other thing about these right now lists is I don't think that this is the way to go about your week long term. So why I'm saying that is because this is tunnel vision that I am not thinking about what's happening in 2 weeks. I'm not thinking strategically about how, my writing time might be better served in a certain time slot, or I'm not thinking about that conference deadline that's coming up. I'm really only thinking about what is going to happen in the next 24 hours, and I'm thinking about what can I do in my available time to be ready for that. So again, not a long-term strategy, but a good strategy if you're really overwhelmed, because I know that I probably have somewhere between 40 and 50 things that have to happen in this first week of class. I haven't even thought about all of them yet. I probably have, I am keeping a running list of those. And some of them are things that are not school related, but very time sensitive. So, for example, moving one of my kids into college, I'm going to lose a whole day to do that. That is just it all, I'm in college, she's in college. So I know I'm going to lose the time on that day. So that's something that's looming, which means all the things that go with that, kind of getting a student ready to go are all on my list too. But right now I have the 2 hours. So I'm just working on focusing the things that can be done to get me ready to kind of calm down some stress. So I know for me, if I'm ready to teach my classes tomorrow morning, that's fine. That kind of knocks out my immediate problem. So during these, I would say these couple weeks when we're going back to school, maybe if you start this week or next week or sometime in September, I would think about in the short term using a quick like right now list where you're not worried that you're not catching all the big stuff. You're only worried about knocking out essential smaller things. And that could be a way to ease some stress and overwhelm. Looking ahead, how I'm going to switch over this, I don't want to be in this position. This is Monday, August 17th at the time I'm recording it. I don't want to be in this position on Monday, August 24th. So for me, right now, lists are only a short-term solution during this week to make sure I've got all the missing pieces caught up so I'm ready to start the semester. But I will get in some writing time this week. So that's something that we talk about all the time on the podcast about writing the first week of class. That's a very popular episode. I usually record one every year, and I will still have that somewhere in here. But at least in these very first 2 days, I am looking at just what are kind of the emergencies to start. So hopefully that's helpful. If you need help from us, everybody can do a free 30-minute consultation as we're getting underway. And also, I'd encourage anyone to join us for our fall accountability group. So we are starting on Monday, August 24th, and we meet once a week for an accountability group. We set some goals. You get a strategy for the week. There's an awesome tracker that goes with it to kind of track how you're doing with your projects and any other goals you might have this semester, like, leaning in on getting all your grading done every week or whatever that is. So really low cost effort. You could check it out in the registration link that's in our show notes. But I encourage all of you to join, and happy writing this week.